What's going on, everybody? This is Cinco Squad with the Cinco episode. I know that's not how you say it, Malin,
but you know what? We're saying it that way.
And let's bring in Grandpa Jay with his bright, smiling face.
55 episodes.
55.
I have not taken Spanish in so long that I gave up.
What's going on, fellas? My name is Jonathan Sawyer with Cinco Squad. With me are my brothers, of course, Mike DeSanto and Grandpa Tired Jay.
What up?
Grandpa Jay sleeps 2 hours a week, everyone. So that's no exaggeration.
No, not a lie whatsoever.
So how's your week going, guys?
Splendid.
Awesome.
Like the sugar.
Awesome.
Yeah,
got some good playoff basketball and good playoff hockey. Real interesting matches up in the NHL and NBA. We'll get into that later in the show. Don't forget, next week we're going to be live at Maloney's local Irish pub. So if you're in Tampa, come on out, have a good time with us. We're going to be there throughout the whole draft, talking about our predictions. We're going to go through some predictions that we think teams should take tonight. But make sure Maloney's local Irish pub next Thursday at 7:30 Eastern. We go live in Tampa in Carrollwood, the Carrollwood location, everyone. So come on out, have a good time, and can't wait to see everyone out there.
Yeah,
Fellows,
it's gonna be good.
What's been going on this week? What sports have you guys been watching? What's going on? Let me know. I got a lot of energy tonight. Let's go.
Well,
thank goodness I'm not watching the Lightning game right now.
Oh, bro, it's brutal. It's brutal.
That was a must-win for Toronto. That was
It was
a franchise-saving win at this point. So
I'm doing a little better. The New York Rangers just took the lead on the Devils, so I'm doing a little better. Now, as we continue the night, we could be doing much better. We could be doing much worse. So we'll find out. But
it might just be me and Grandpa Jay.
I might just have to leave out of anger.
Yeah.
But no, it's been good. I'm excited.
I'm excited for the rest of the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of good teams. You got the Seattle Kraken come. I just put a post up, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Go check out our socials on that. Kraken took get this. They get to play the reigning champs in their first playoff as a franchise. They bring home a dub, and that's like, I was like, oh my god, man! If they go up 2-0 back to Seattle, first home playoff game, oh man!
Even if it's 1-1, that place is going to be
rocking.
Take the lead in the series. So
I think the way they've been able to the last couple of years to pack the arena, I mean, they could be down 2-0, I think, and that place would be rocking. But if they're up 2-0, like, it's going to be crazy.
Oh yeah,
for sure, for sure. We got a plethora of things to talk about tonight. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But we got kind of a new segment here to start off the show. So, since Grandpa Jay and myself always have our jugs, we're juggalicious.
What were we going to call it, John? What was it?
I forgot. I think it was like Jamie and
John's jugs.
Jamie and John's jugs. We should get that.
That's for Cinco Squad After Dark.
Cinco Squad After Dark.
That's the segment After Dark.
Since Mike is the only one that always has, we're gonna have this segment be what's in Mike's cup. So Mike, what's in your cup tonight? A cold glass of milk?
I know it looks like milk, but it's not.
Coquito?
What this is no.
I know.
This is O'Reilly's white chocolate cream liqueur.
I'm about to vomit. Bro, put that thing down, bro.
I know he likes it. It's like milk.
Put that off the screen, bro.
Delicious.
Off the screen, son.
That is so good. You know what? When I poured it earlier, I looked at it immediately and was like, they're going to say this is milk.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought
maybe
it was milk.
It is. Who knows?
I mean, like, who cares? I mean, like, if you're drinking milk,
if I want some milk, yeah, I'll have some milk.
So that's our new segment.
That's a disgusting whatever that is, bro. I think we need to change it back to what you're sipping on.
What you're sipping on?
You better be sipping on something correct.
It's actually really good. Like, obviously, if you don't like white chocolate, don't get it because it tastes like liquid white chocolate.
I love Jason Williams. What are you talking about?
Not that white chocolate. We all like that white chocolate.
Well, hey, I mean, I was thinking about this today and like thinking about how excited I am about like we came off the high of March Madness, right? Like we were so excited because we got to watch games Thursday through Friday or through Thursday through Sunday, and like I was thinking about, I was like, man, I love this time of the year. This is where I start to ramp back up because it's like you got NBA, but like it sucks because of the games are like right back to back. So like unless you have a setup like me where I have monitors around my room and I can put it on different TVs, you can only watch realistically one game at a time. So I'm sure bar sales are probably through the roof trying to go watch all these games.
The different screens.
But I know with all these games going on, Grandpa Jay has his bets of the week going on this week.
Yes, he does.
What you got this week? You were 4-1 last week, bro.
4-1. I had it. I went and took all the home teams, and of course, Mr. Cinco's Cleveland Cavaliers had to come up short. They did make it a game. They were up by 1 with about 2 minutes to go. I'm like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And then Jalen Brunson just took over the game, and kudos to him because that was his chip on the shoulder game. So I gave him a lot of credit for stepping up and getting that road victory because pretty much he was like. He's second choice, right? You never want to feel like we wanted Donovan, but we'll take you as compensation. So I feel he played that game with a huge chip on his shoulder. One of the great storylines of the playoffs so far. So let's get straight to it. Celtics ain't losing a single game in this series. They're going to sweep the Hawks. The Hawks do not look like a well-coached or well-gelled team at the point, even though they have Quinn Snyder. I think he needs a full year or a full offseason to figure out who he wants and who he doesn't want on that roster. So let's go Celtics on the road to cover. They're going to cover the 5. I actually like the Cavs to beat the Knicks in game 3. I know that's a bold prediction, but I like the Cavs to win, but I'll take the +2 in case the Knicks do hit a buzzer beater and that becomes a push. The Timberwolves took the Nuggets to the brink the other night. The Nuggets needed Jamal Murray to have the game of this, like his best game of the season to do that. I'm going to take the Timberwolves to win at least one game. So give me the T-Wolves. And then, guys, let's go to the ice for the next 2 games. I was going to go baseball, but hey, let's just stick with the playoff atmosphere.
We got all summer for that.
Let's just ride out on these Friday night games.
Yes, sir.
I don't think Carolina is going to sweep the Islanders. I definitely think the Islanders take game 3 at home, even though Carolina looks like a dangerous team at the moment. Give me the Islanders to win game 3. And the Bruins ain't losing 2 in a row. So I'm going to take the Bruins to win game 3 on the road in Florida, right around your neck of the woods. John, are you going to go watch that game, by the way?
It's still up in the air because Maloney and I are having dinner tomorrow night at 7. I think the game is at 7. So I don't think we're going to be able to make that one. But yeah, we were thinking about it. But tickets they're not that bad, actually. Realistically, we were looking at it like in the Inner Bowl. They were like $150 a piece, which I know a lot of people are like, oh shit. But like for a playoff game against the number 1 seed, like that's not bad, really, to be honest with you. When you get into the finals and stuff like that, that's when they're starting to go up. So, but I know I got those 2 picks wrong. I had in my clip the other day. I watched it. I have Carolina still sweeping, and I had the Bruins. But what I didn't put in the clip, and Mike can attest to this because he saw it, is I said I wouldn't be surprised if Florida steals a game in Boston, just off of like a high, like like just going in and getting a game. So definitely good picks right there. I like that.
So just to recap, we got the Islanders at home, we got the Bruins on the road, we got the Celtics on the road to cover, we got Minnesota at home to cover, and give me Cleveland. Give me the points. Give me the points. I like Cleveland on the road in the Garden.
Yes, sir. So that's Jamie's bets of the week. We're going to post this after the show with the full list. Make sure you go and bet. He's 4-1 for 2 out of the last 3 weeks. And if you win, a small donation to Jamie's fund is okay. Or
we need equipment. We need equipment. Send us $100 Amazon card.
We got some comments, of course, from our trusty, most dedicated fans, and Anthony saying Cinco squad.
Squad up.
The drink blends into Mike's skin.
hey, Uncle Mike, does this blend into my skin?
And then 7 p.m. dinner, isn't that after hours in Florida? Yeah, if you're 77 years old, Uncle Mike, I'm 30.
Chill, Uncle Mike, chill. Okay? Leave me alone.
That's Grandpa Jay's dinner time. So going to the ice.
John,
And
are
I
you
made
in Orlando this week, by the way?
yes. Oh yes, I will. I will. My niece is actually competing in Worlds, everyone, for a chance to win the world title of cheerleading.
Awesome. Is it gonna be Saturday and Sunday?
It's gonna be Sunday and Monday. So I'm going up on Saturday. And then my other niece comes down the week after. Unfortunately, because we'll be in Tampa, I won't be able to see her. But she's competing in Worlds as well. And their teams have a good shot, apparently. So good luck to all the the teams there, and hopefully my nieces come home with a world trophy.
Well, maybe we should link up because I'll be in Orlando on Saturday night as well.
Okay, let's do it. Sounds good. All right, we're gonna have we're having a John. I wish you know what, Jay. I wish the Magic were playing in the playoffs because we could have went to a game and done like a live broadcast and stuff.
But
like
it's fun. I've been to a couple of Magic games with my nephews. It's a lot of fun.
That would have been fun. And then Keenan could have got us free tickets.
Paulo Banchero.
Maybe in a couple of years when Bronny gets there. So. As we keep it on the ice and keep it smooth gliding into our first topic,
nice.
We have the NHL. And here's something that I brought up earlier is I said goaltending is the most important thing. Just like in my other clip, I said that offensive linemen and defensive linemen are the most important thing in football.
Yep.
So let me ask you guys, in the playoffs, is goaltending or having good role players in depth more important? Mike, I'm going to throw it over to you.
They're both very important. Both can kind of make or break you, as we've seen in years past, where there's been teams that haven't been deep that didn't go far, or teams that were deep but didn't have good goaltending that didn't go far. I'd say, though, between the two, I always got to go goaltending. I think having and like you said in the clip on the show, like look at these past champions.
Yeah.
All of the good goaltenders that were on these rosters. It's the key to it's like defense wins championships, goaltending wins championships. Right. I have seen some, middle of the pack offensive teams absolutely steal games because their goalie only gives up a goal, if not a shutout. Yeah. So I have to go goaltending personally as a hockey fan. Jamie, what do you think?
While I would normally agree with that, and I've seen personally what it's done for the Lightning over the past, couple of years. And of course, I'm not just grading this on how well the Lightning have done because of the incredible wall that's in the net for them. I kind of want to lean on depth for the simple fact that look at game 2 right now with the Lightning. Same goalie in Hedman, and a couple other key injuries from game 1, and it's a completely different tone. And I feel in a series where it's close and another team can match you line for line, if you lose a key player at a position where you need them to really either be the pit bull for that line or whatever their role was on that line, that whole line changes. And that person coming in to replace them, they lack the chemistry on that line. You don't want that to happen in the playoffs, but you want to have enough depth in the regular season where you can mix and match your third line and then bring in guys who would be on the fourth or however deep you are. And maybe even move guys from third to second and play around and find that chemistry in different ways throughout the season. So I feel depth really plays a huge role, especially when it gets to playoff hockey. I mean, there's teams right now, and looking at your injury list, the Rangers are fine, but the Maple Leafs and the Lightning are playing with like four or five key guys that are out right now. So that depth is what's going to get them through this point in the series. And right now, hopefully it's the Lightning. But while I agree with you, I'm more leaning towards great role players and having that depth.
Yeah, I mean, when I thought about this, and it actually dawned on me because I thought both points were great. Because that's what I thought too. Is the Lightning right now are missing Victor Hedman and Eric Chernak, two of the key pillars in their defensive core.
What they did to Chernak, man.
And that guy deserved a 3-game suspension, right? So when you look at this, it's goaltending, I played the game, so, having a rock solid goaltender, but I remember our teams only having 2 lines deep, and then we playing the number 1 team in the state that could skate 4 lines. And at one point or another, your first 2 lines are going to be exhausted, right? And then you put your third line out there and they can't even compete. That's tough. Yeah. So as much as I want to go goaltending, and I'm kind of contradicting, looking at the playoffs, I'm going to have to go good role players, because if you don't have depth in the playoffs, and that's in any sport, it's going to be difficult for you to contend because your starters can only go so much. It's not like football where you only play 11 minutes a game. So like you have to, it's constant movement and you're constantly changing out. I think good goaltending is great. And like after I put that clip up, I really had to think about this. And I'm not disagree with you, Mike. I'm just being honest with you. Like looking at my Lightning right now, they're down 6-1 right now. They can't even contend. They got like guys like limping, crutches down the ice.
Well, they're tired. It wasn't enough.
They had a great interview on local radio today. It was a guy, I can't remember who was. I caught it at the end, so I didn't hear who they were interviewing. I didn't recognize the voice off the top. And he said, why suspend the guy from Toronto? You know what would be even better? You let him play the next game. I guarantee you 2 or 3 Lightning are going to queue up on him. He's going to have a broken nose, and there's his 3-game suspension because they're going to break something on his face, right? And of course,
that's why you bring in the guys like Pat Maroon.
It's like, but that's honestly, it's like you can't do that because that's going to be a target on that guy's back, and he's going to get hurt probably worse than our guy got hurt. So I feel like at this point they did the right thing. But can you imagine if that's what the end is? And like, you know what? Let the team settle it on the ice. Let them go at it. Oh yeah, putting your hands up because it's 3-1. Is that what the celebration?
Yeah, just a side note.
Well, I mean, ultimately that used to be the hockey way. Like they never used to have suspension. Yeah. Now they're trying to get away from the hits and everything. I mean, that's why you bring in guys like Zach Bogosian and you signed Pat Maroon to a $2 million deal because what he's going to do is he's going to be the guy to stand in front of the net, take all the abuse, but also be the protector of the team almost, in that aspect. And sometimes it gets annoying because, being the big guy on my team, I always was kind of that. I played that role, and it was okay sometimes. It was always funny because I always told people like I never liked to hit. I wanted to be a finesse player, but my size would never let me be a finesse player. So, I had to use what I had. Right. So, ultimately I worked to be a finesse player. But I agree with you, Jay. Like, put them on the ice. Like, this is the playoff hockey. Like, I don't like suspensions. Like, I don't think it was a mean hit. I don't think it warranted a 3-game suspension, just like I don't think Draymond deserved a suspension in that game. I don't like suspensions. Let them play. They're going to get back at them. Trust me. This is hockey. It's a physical sport. So,
but we know Draymond's was a reputation suspension.
Yes. 100%.
It was guilty by same act of unsportsmanlike conduct, so to say.
And loudmouth.
Yeah. The NHL, I agree with you in the sense of like this is hockey. It's supposed to be a tough sport. Let the guys sort it out on the ice. But the NHL doesn't want that for the playoffs, especially. Yep. Especially these days, they're more focused on the finesse game. Yep. They're more focused on wanting to see all the best players out there. So when a good player gets taken out, I equated it when it happened. Because there were people that were like, well, he didn't mean to, he was going for the hit. He didn't mean to make contact with the head. Why a game I understand that they're like, I understand the 5-minute penalty, why the game misconduct. And I equated it. I'm like, it's like in football. Whether you meant to target or not, it happened. There was contact to the head. You're getting booted from the game. That's just how it is now, especially with the concussion issues. The precedent, the mandate is you're done. Contact to the head, forceful contact to the head like that, you're done. Yep. So, I think it would be nice to see.
It's like you're drawing the line, right? Like you're telling everybody, like, hey, your playoffs might be over if we think it was, like. We understand some plays are impact plays, players are coming together and there may be intent or not. But if there's malicious intent to it, I feel like the message is going to keep being sent. And like, look, you might not play another playoff hockey game this season. So
exactly,
sit your ass down and
be careful what you do. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's been something that I've noticed over the last few years. I mean, since I stopped playing, right? Like when I was playing, it was bruiser hockey. You got guys that are enforcers on the team, and you got guys that are, the finesse players. Well, there's more finesse players, right? And a lot of them are bruisers. So there's not going to be a lot of that.
Does that add to the point that maybe goaltending becomes more important now because the game has become so much more open? You have to have better goaltending.
I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer on that because
there's not. They both help.
Because I mean, look at if anyone's watching the Oilers Kings series, it's one person in particular, Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
He can dangle through a whole team. Mike knows firsthand because he watched him dang through all 27 guys of the Rangers.
Gotta bring this up.
And he can do things with the puck that normally people shouldn't be able to do, right? And
no, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
But you're right, Jay. Like, it's kind of a two-way street. Like, it's like you could go one way, you could go the other. So I agree with that 100%. So,
Ryan Oglethorpe, he'll take care of it.
Whoever that is.
Slapshot.
Oh,
He's a big bruiser.
Been a while. Uncle Mike agrees with Mike. Goaltending, you'll need to score 1 to win.
Not in today's hockey.
Not in today's
hockey. There's no 1-0 games anymore.
Yeah.
But
still, the Lightning did have a couple 1-0 games in the first Stanley Cup run.
Yeah.
Well, conceivably, like in game 1 for the Rangers, Sturkin stood on his head. He shut him out. So conceivably, they would have only needed 1 goal.
You need a solid netminder in order to. I mean, he's going to have a bad game. Vasilevsky, this is one of his. He normally does once a playoff, but once or twice. But I mean, it's not consistent. He locks in. I mean, he took a shot off the mask today, broke the mask, I mean, I just think goaltending is going to be important no matter what. But I think if having that depth throughout your bench that can go out and skate with the top line, because a lot of times the Lightning will throw the fourth line out there to skate with Matthews' line. Yep. That's how confident Cooper is on that. So that makes sense. I mean, so Mike is with goaltending. Jamie and I are with role players, even though I contradicted my post. So that's what we do here. We contradict each other. So
little update from the NBA. The Brooklyn Nets are hanging tough in here. We got a minute left in the third. They're taking a 4-point lead on the Sixers because they've outscored them by 15 points in the third so far. Mikal Bridges having himself a great game. He's at 25 so far.
So they're winning. The Nets are winning?
The Nets are up by 4, 80-76, with just under a minute to go in the third.
Good shit. Good shit.
Brooklyn got a sneaky good return. I'm just as a side note, Brooklyn got a sneaky good return for Durant.
Mikal Bridges is a superstar. Defensively, he's a superstar. Now he's going to butt offensively because he's not option 4 in the offense.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we always said about that trade for KD and Kyrie. Like, they were just going to get a lot of good role players. They just need a couple stars to go there, which would be nice.
Right. I'll tell you what, man. Phoenix is missing him and Cam Johnson real bad right now.
Cam Johnson.
Luckily, Kawhi's out. So now that Clippers prediction by me is totally gone now.
And that's why I wouldn't take them. If there's one other player than Chris Paul you can't depend on to finish a series right now due to their injury legacy, unfortunately, it's Kawhi Leonard.
Well, let me ask you.
And Paul George, and they haven't been on the same team.
Let me ask you guys, and without being biased on it, obviously, if you had to pick one series to cover, either NHL or NBA playoffs, like if for Cinco squad, I said, oh, we got credentials to any of the playoff games. Where do you want to go? Where are you going? Jay, go first.
Boy, this one was tough for me because I scoured through every series and I started to look at the benefits of where they're being played and like going to both of those cities. It'd be a lot of fun. Obviously, I thought about Seattle and Colorado, defending champs. It's going to be rocking there in their home crowd. And I started to lean that way and I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm an NBA guy. I'm going to kind of go back into the NBA. It sucks that Kawhi is injured now, right? Because to me, it's like the best first-round matchup in terms of superstars who are guarding each other and going head-to-head all game is Kawhi versus KD. And so I really sort of swayed towards saying I think I would really enjoy, and you know me, I'm an undercover sort of Suns fan because of Devin Booker. So I really enjoy covering the Suns and the Clippers just because of the stardom factor of the two best players on the court actually guarding each other. You don't really get that much. And if we get that, it has to be in the NBA Finals because you have like a Jokic and Embiid going at each other for the whole series. We don't really see the two best players defending each other, and it's head to head all game long. Who could trump who on either side of the court? So that would have been for me the most exciting series that I could have covered. Mike,
so biasedly.
You can be biased. I said you can be biased.
I know, but I don't want to be because the obvious answer is that I would go cover the Rangers and Devils. But outside of that, being a big hockey fan, I will stick with hockey. Honestly, I would be really interested to go cover the Oilers-Kings series. It's two very good, very well-rounded teams that are playing great competitive hockey. Plus, the opportunity to go cover one of, if not the greatest player of a generation, is hard to pass up. I mean, the fact that you get to watch Connor McDavid night in and night out when you're covering it, that would be, I think, an amazing experience.
Mike, we hung out together in LA. High five.
Yeah, high five. Very nice. Yeah, so that's me. Oilers Kings.
I know where John's going, but we'll let him say it. Go ahead.
Where do you think I'm going?
No, go ahead.
He's going to Miami.
Honestly, like I was
home.
I was gonna do the Seattle Colorado series.
Nice.
I honestly wanted to be at the first ever home playoff game, see the electricity, even though hockey press booths kind of scare the shit out of me because they're sitting way up in the 500 section.
Oh, yeah,
it's way up there. It's not like where you're sitting courtside, but so Jamie will be sitting courtside while Mike and I are hugging each other, trying not to look down.
whoa.
Well, Jamie will text us, how's the game? We haven't looked down. We've been looking at the jumbotron.
Well,
so I would say Colorado because they're the champs, and they have such a great environment at the Ball Arena. So it's just cool, and I might stick around for a Nuggets game while I'm there. And watch a Nuggets game too. So I would say the Kraken and the Avalanche. That would be pretty cool to go see.
And I suppose that would be the benefit. Would be you could cover two series at once with a lot of these.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it be Rangers, Devils, or Islanders, Hurricanes, along with Knicks, Cavs.
Knicks, Nets, and Sixers. Yeah.
Right. So Nets, Sixers. Yeah. So that would be the benefit.
Honestly, as a joke, I was going to tell you would have gone into that Florida-Boston series so you could wear your Lightning hat in the Florida arena and flick everybody off, and then when you go to Boston, you wear your Yankees cap and be like,
yeah, there you go. Both sides. Both
ways.
That'd be funny as hell. I remember when we went to the game where it was Lightning Panthers, and Malin wore our Lightning gear. And they were heckling the shit out of us. They're like, and then they were like, "We're beating your ass!" And then the Lightning came back, boom, 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 3 goals, just like that. Yeah? And I was like, "Okay."
I'm sorry.
Then Brady
I would have given him the Draymond.
I would have done that. I would have done like when he was doing that like jump last year when he was just jumping with the music. Like that was the best. But it was hilarious because like. Brady Point comes down, scores an overtime winner, and like I'm just looking around at the one fan that was like chirping us all game. I was like, "Nice." I mean, this is when Florida was the best team in the NHL, won the President's Trophy, so I don't blame them. But if there was a player, I mean, just a side question: if there was a player you would want to cover, right now, who would it be?
McDavid, 100% McDavid.
That's so tough.
Yeah, me too.
So tough. More for the fact that we don't know if we're going to get him in the playoffs again this year, probably LeBron.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say LeBron because I can go cover McDavid every other year, and then McDavid's only 26 years old, so he'll be in the playoffs for another 10 years, right?
Probably.
So for me, I would like to go see LeBron because we don't know how many more playoffs he has, right? So I would say him and try to see who's. What it's like covering LeBron, what it's like asking the questions, because like that type of thing, and like actually ask him smart questions, because I feel like there's so many reporters out there that ask them, "How are you feeling? What are your thoughts on the loss? It sucks."
I'd say straight up, I'd be like, "Hey, so after the hour ice bath and a sauna and a massage, so it's 3 hours of recovery time. What's the first thing you're about to eat when you go home? Your wife or dinner?"
Oh, Jesus. Well, I know we teased it, but welcome to Cinco Squad After Dark, everybody. I'm Mike.
There goes our viewership, Jamie. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Adios, viewers. It was good having you for 30 minutes.
No, I mean, I remember when we covered for Bonaventure, if it was a tough loss, I remember Mike Mike would be right next to me, like in the media room. He'd just be like, "Why didn't you ask a question?" I was like, "I don't really need to. I know how it feels to have a tough loss. Right. What am I going to ask them? that's not going to piss them off. I'll wait till tomorrow when they give me when it's settled in and they can really go through film, right? Like when you're in that situation, I would have just probably went to the press row and listened, but I probably wouldn't have asked a question because no one wants to be up there. I think
would be an appropriate question is like, describe to me how different your night is now you've lost. Like, what's your routine?
Right. What's the experience?
Like post win or post loss? Is there a difference in your routine?
Yeah.
And see if somebody's really more like, I tend to relax a little more after a loss, and I keep going after a win, like because their mentality is they're still on that adrenaline high.
Right.
You know what I mean? So who knows what that could be? I don't think they would balk at a question like that.
No. I think they're all professionals and they ask it. They would answer it accordingly. You know, you get the sometimes guys who have a vendetta against the media, like Russell Westbrook and some of those guys, because I mean, ultimately, some of the guys are snakes and do a lot of dirty stuff to ruin their careers. But I think that's something that's been very interesting throughout the whole playoffs is the fact that we got to wait till Saturday to watch the Lakers again, and it's like the NHL does it right where they play every other day. Should the first round of the NBA playoffs be have less days between games? Because if you go 7 games, you're not until the first week of May.
Very good segue.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
150,000,000,000% yes.
Get him, Dr. Evil.
$1 million. No, I wish I had $1 million. 100%. This schedule makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You should not have. I'm sorry. Like I know, not in the sports business as far as scheduling and stuff. So I haven't had experience with this, but it just seems very dumb to me to have some teams playing their game 3 the same day that some teams are playing their game 4.
Yep.
Because now we're out of order, and we got some teams that might be waiting, especially if they sweep, waiting for over a week to even find out who they're playing, let alone start playing.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah. It's really stupid. I mean, I look at it as the idea of the 2 worst sports when it comes to scheduling their playoffs is baseball and basketball.
Yeah.
They're terrible. Baseball's every day you're playing. Even on the road, you go on the road, you go play another game. And then they got to play
but like your personnel shifts a little more in baseball, right? Like you can shift certain personnel if you want to.
Right.
You have positional guys. So it's like there's 2 or 3 guys that aren't really pushing themselves day after day.
Right.
But from a standpoint of basketball, I mean, some things you do have to look at geographically. So the Lakers-Memphis series is cross country, right?
Yeah.
Or LA-Memphis. So when you're going East Coast to West Coast, it's easier. When you go West Coast back to East Coast, so if you finish a game in LA and it's now 4 a.m. on the East Coast because the game started at 10:30 and by the time you're out of the arena, it might even be 2 a.m. So now it's 5 a.m. in Memphis and you have to fly back there. So the clocks are totally discombobulated. You're not going to have a good turnaround time where you get back there and it's noon and then you're getting ready for a game 14 hours later and you're going off of no sleep. So geographically, you kind of have to look at things and say, okay, how does this series work? But it shouldn't work like that, let's say, for a Golden State-Sacramento series because it's like an hour bus ride, right, between the arenas. Right. So I think geographically, you need to look at it and say, okay, this is what works best geographically. And so what if it's an advantage to a team and they sweep and they're resting? Because in some cases, that doesn't help a team. A team having 4 days off, they kind of lose their momentum in their field. So it's not necessarily an advantage that a team has more rest than you and they can bring their players back. So what? They got the job done in 4 and you didn't, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it kind of has to work that way geographically.
But one of the things that I notice is like, even if it's every other day, you get a flight. Typically you're playing 2 games in that city, right? So if you play in Memphis, you're going to play on Tuesday in Memphis, and then you give a day in between, go back to LA, you fly back that night. And of course, you're going to be a little bit off, but that's why you have that day in between. And then you play the next night after. Like the Lakers should already be on game 4 when they hit Saturday, not game 3.
Right.
So it's like moving it up a little bit. It just spaces it out, right? Like so, the end of the NBA playoffs. It goes back to what we talked about last week when we talked about should it be a 5-game series for the NHL? Should it be a 5-game series for the NBA? Because are we seeing less talented basketball right now, or are we seeing really good? Like the Clippers series was going to be good, but then now we look at it as they're going to probably run through. Phoenix is probably going to run through and take the next 3 games, depending on when Kawhi comes back.
But you got to look at the ratings too, though, John, right? Because, of course, they don't want people in LA to not be able to watch LeBron play because it'll be a 7:30 game in Memphis and it's 8:30 and that's 4:30 or 5:30 in LA. So there's so many factors that go into just that series. That series is being treated differently. It might be the last time we see LeBron make a deep playoff run. Yeah. Right. It might be the last time you see LeBron and AD play together on the same team to have a championship run.
Correct.
There's a lot of factors going into this where the NBA is kind of like, look, we want to preserve this particular series. I think they're doing better with the others because I don't think there's any others.
It's the same for the other ones.
It is the same for the other ones.
Really? Because every other one is gone. But you're saying some of them are on game 4 and they're on game 3, though. So some of them are moving ahead every other day.
Yeah, I think it's like I forget who's playing tonight, but I know it's Phoenix and LA.
Phoenix Clippers and also the Warriors Kings game, which is being every other day.
Yeah, I mean, which it should be, like you said, right? But I guess going back to the weekend idea is we were Mr. Cinco and I, who should be joining us here momentarily. Want to get his thoughts on this. We were talking about how they put the Saturday games from 1 start time 1. The last start time was 8:30, and then on Sunday they put the start times on at 3, and the last one was 10:45 East Coast, and this was in Denver.
Yeah.
So it's only 2 hours back, but in my head, why wouldn't you just flip flop those time frames? You know, have the 8:30 game. Have the Saturday game like times on Sunday and have the Sunday times on Saturday because most people are going to be able to stay up for a 10:30 on a Saturday night. They're already up anyways, right? So
right.
But you know they don't draw that like a Minnesota Denver game's not going to draw too many East Coast fans anyway. So
yeah, I mean I don't know. Like I just think that the scheduling is a little off.
Yeah.
And we got Mr. Cinco joining us here right now. And what up, Trey? Trey Day on the block.
Hey, what up, Trey?
What's
going on?
Mr. Cinco, we're talking about the arguments that we were having this week on the NBA. Should the NBA first round have less days between games?
The dumb NBA playoff schedule.
Muchos días en frente.
Welcome to
okay. We're not doing this.
Cincuentas y Cinco.
Just because we're Cinco Squad doesn't mean we got to speak Spanish.
Translation.
Well, wait until the May 5th show.
I know. Cinco de Mayo.
Wait, does our
No, it's May 3rd. No, May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Okay, well, good. Close enough.
You got to drink a Corona anyway on that show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I do actually from when John visited in the fall, I do still have a Corona. So
just drink them.
I don't drink
Bro,
beer. I drink milk and stuff.
Yeah, you got to throw that out and get fresher.
Yeah, you can't have beer in there for that long.
So, Mr. Cinco, my argument was that they're treating the Lakers series in particular a little bit different, right? They want quality. I think they want LeBron to get out the first round. The cross country thing about flying out to Memphis, flying back to LA, east to west coast time difference thing, losing a lot of hours, and then so I say maybe they're just treating that series different. But what's your thoughts on it?
No, because I mean I can pull the schedule up real quick because I actually have it screenshotted. But later in the series is going to get closer. Actually, later in the series, but the inherent wrong thing there to begin with is the conferences are screwed up to begin with. Memphis shouldn't even be in the Western Conference, so we shouldn't even run into that issue because they're way further east than plenty of teams. New Orleans, a lot of these teams, they shouldn't even be there. But the Lakers later in the series, so starting with Saturday, the Lakers play Saturday, then they play Monday, then they play Wednesday, then they play Friday, then they play Sunday. So all the skipping is actually going to tighten up here. Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the TV rights. So they try to make sure, like, if the Lakers play game 6 or 7, it would be a Friday and then a Sunday. Right. So I think they're trying to line that up. They did the same for the Cavs. Knicks series, they're Fridays, Sundays. They're trying to line up for that way. But I do agree. I don't like all the stretching out. It takes the first round 3 weekends to get through. We started last week and we got this weekend and then next weekend. I don't like the whole 3 weekends. It just takes a long time to get through that, and that's what my issue is with it.
Yeah, that's just like unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree.
You shouldn't have to take 3 weeks to get through one round of play. And the Bucks and Heat are also kind of like that right now, where they played on Wednesday, they don't play till Saturday.
Yeah, but same with the Lakers. Same with the Lakers.
Yeah, right.
I like what you brought up there. Is like why we know Memphis moved out of Vancouver, right? So of course, like the franchise shifts from deep west, right? Like all the way across, like as far across as you could possibly take the franchise. So then, who would you shift? Like, how does it balance where you say, okay, one team has to move over from the east, and then Memphis becomes a west team? Who's that team, Mikey?
Detroit.
Interesting.
I don't know how Detroit.
It wouldn't be Detroit. Chicago's further west, and Indiana.
Yeah, Chicago is what I was thinking too.
Chicago and Indiana. Yeah, I forgot about
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago,
Indiana seems like more of a West Coast team. Right? So.
Yeah, Indiana and Chicago are further. So if you had to, it'd be one of those.
They won't take the Bulls out of the East, so it would probably be the Pacers.
So probably the Pacers would be the team that nobody would care as much if they left.
I'm like trying to look. I was thinking either. Well, Dallas is already in the West.
Dallas
so
is
West. Yeah.
I would say New Orleans if they weren't already in the West too.
Let's pull up a map. No.
All right, guys, let's break this down.
We're gonna call get Adam Silver on the line.
So listen, I really like that question about like what like we're talking about where you know the coverage. I want to hear Mr. Cinco's answer on that one. If you could cover one series trade day, what series would it be right now? NHL or NBA? If you personally had to travel to each arena and you had to cover each game, what would
for Cinco squad?
Yeah.
But you're saying a specific series, not like the sport, but the actual series.
Like right now, a first round playoff series between hockey and basketball. Like which series would you choose based on everything that would come to your mind? Like I want to be in these cities, I want to cover these players, I want to see these games.
And you can be
you can be biased.
You can be biased. You can be biased, but you could all. But if you couldn't cover your team, right? Yeah. Like who would it be?
Well, if I can't cover that, I mean, I probably would cover Sacramento and Golden State right now.
Nice.
Just that has the most.
Like the
beam. Went to the Chase Center, and I went to the Chase Center ironically this year. Yeah. So that stadium is lit, and I see how Sacramento is, so I know that would be a fun time. The other good thing too, you get more time to relax. They're an hour and a half apart, so I can actually kick it in between time, hang out and chill. Mm-hmm. I ain't got to even get on the plane to even do the coverage of that. So I would pick that series.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the Chase Center like? Did you like it?
It felt like it was weird a little bit because it felt like a business almost. When you pull up, it's not all the signs like how it is at like Rocket Mortgage Arena or like Staples Center, or even when I went to like the United Center years ago. Like it's like next to the Uber building. You just pull up and you're like, oh, wait a minute, the stadium's here. It was real nice, but you walk in, they had this big Mercedes in the front door, and then it looked almost like they could have office suites there. But I liked the crowd was cool. Like I liked the people were cool in the crowd. So I enjoyed myself with the crowd, but it just
they're the most spoiled fan base in sports right now. I mean, they've had 7 spectacular years minus that 1 year.
Yeah.
Deep playoff.
Even that's making the finals.
Yeah.
So I mean, Trey, for your suggestion, we were talking also about this past weekend's playoff games and how the time frame was so off. Like we had, like the Saturday time frame should have been on Sunday, and the Sunday time frame should have been on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like the time frames of the games. Like we were talking about that earlier this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. As Art Barkley said, and I agreed with him when he said it, where they were sitting there with some of the West Coast games running at 10 o'clock on a Sunday, and it was like, well, why didn't y'all do a 1 o'clock Sunday game? Right. I think they were so busy trying to put the Lakers in that case into the 3 o'clock slot. I just didn't get why somebody didn't run at 1 o'clock. Really, they could have ran that Heat. The Heat Bucks should have been at 1. Being an East Coast game, and then you wouldn't have to. I remember as a kid, like having to ask my mom, "Hey, can I stay up? I want to finish this game." Being, like a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
Trying to stay up to watch the game at 10 o'clock, and that is a lot on people. That have to do that. So it's like, why not do it at 1 o'clock? They both were East Coast teams. Put them on at 1. I know the West Coast people would say, "Hey, we got to get up early," but y'all get up every week.
They're not going to mind. Yeah.
Y'all getting up at 4 a.m. to watch London football, which is bad. Every time to watch the guys play London. So
even last night, Trey, like I didn't realize it was 12:20, and I'm watching this Minnesota game, and I'm like, "This is a great game," and all of a sudden I look over and I'm like, "What the hell? How is it?"
Yeah, what time is it? Yeah.
What just happened?
Well, the crazy part is the NBA a couple years ago they said they were going to stagger the schedule up even in the regular season. The problem is they list games at 10:30 and they still don't tip into 10:45, or they'll put a 10 o'clock game. It tips at 10:15. 10 o'clock needs to be 10 o'clock. I will. For all the brief I get in the NFL, 1 o'clock game started at 1. We didn't have the intros, we did the national anthem, that was 12:50. They say 1 o'clock. And I turn red zone on.
Kickoff is at 1.
8 balls going in the air at 1 o'clock on the dot, and the game is starting. That makes a difference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you don't have your bet in at 12:59, as soon as it clicks, you're done.
Or your fantasy roster set.
Yeah.
Oh God,
That's the worst feeling. Like you're in the middle of setting it, and you're just like, "Fuck, God damn it!"
No, he's not a buy. He's not a buy.
It's always someone that you really need too. Oh, by the way, I still got to send you your championship ring. It'll get there at some point. You know,
bro, he just wants the rocket, bro. He won't not take because he wants the rocket.
I got one here. Hold on.
I'm hanging on to my fantasy football belt as long as I can. So
I got my championship because I'm a winner. I won the last place in our division.
Who won again?
Trey.
No, like who'd you beat though? John's dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I came in last.
I came in like 8th.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys didn't make me like do something for coming in last.
We should next year.
That's next year.
I'm not coming in last next year.
Mr. Irrelevant has to do something.
Okay, I'll go be Brock Purdy. Thank you.
All right, so real quick, if you guys, anybody, any personality that you know, if you could say, hey, I want to watch the game with this one person, and you get to watch it at a bar in a booth with a big screen in front of you.
Oh, that's tough.
Drinks free all night long, like food, whatever you want, like all taken care of. Who are you taking? Who do you want to watch a game with?
What game am I watching?
It don't even matter. Whatever's on, call it.
I'll probably say Adam Sandler. I think I could watch any sport with him and he'd just be like, he'd know it, or he just like would be so interested in it, and then he would like get into it, and all of a sudden he'd do his like famous like what the hell like laugh. Him or Kevin Hart. It's like between those two, because Kevin Hart can make it like funny as hell, even if it's like tennis or something. Be like, what the hell? They hit the ball and the goddamn
Swear to God.
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna go with Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh, that'd be funny.
I think, especially watching like a Yankee game with him, I feel like would be so hilarious.
It has to be any comedian.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of who's
Vic DiBitetto
or Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of who's fun.
He's wide open. You don't see that?
It's certain sports I would want to watch with this person, but other ones I want to watch with another person. So it's like,
yeah.
That is a tough question.
Yeah, like you only choose one, right?
Right.
And no.
Wait, Jay,
what do you
got? I'm trying
Jay?
To
huh?
What do you got, Jay?
You know, when I thought about this earlier today, I'm like, do I go with Drake's girlfriend Doris? Because Doris is like the dopest woman ever in sports, and she would just be so cool to just sit down and like just hear her perspective. I'm probably gonna go with Bill Murray though. Give me old school Bill.
That's a good.
Yeah, Bill's gonna just take the mick out of it. You know, he's gonna have stories for days. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, you're watching the game. He's like, shit. I remember being there in '84, sitting next to this guy who's coked out of his mind. But hey, I don't care, man. It was all love, and like he probably have the craziest stories from any given arena in whatever scenario, because he's been there. He's done golf, he's done hockey, he's done basketball, he's done baseball. It doesn't matter. He's a huge sports guy. Will Ferrell's up there too, but I'll take Bill.
I was probably gonna say Bill Walton.
Whoa,
to be honest with you, I thought that. Bill Walton would actually.
Watch the mushrooms. It's all game, baby.
Is there any player better than Detlef Shrimp?
Bill Walton would actually be fun because I've actually watched those game casts they do in college football.
Yeah,
championship, and they used him. But I got my answer though.
Who is it?
I would go with Shannon Sharp.
Okay, that's a good choice.
Uncle Shannon.
No, Uncle Shannon's gonna get lit. We're both gonna drink our Hennessy. So we're gonna drink our Hennessy. We're gonna have a good time. I'll also have a security guard, as I've learned when they played Memphis in the regular season. If it gets real, Uncle Shannon's gonna make sure. If we gotta go start arguing with other fans, I got Shannon Sharp back there.
People don't realize how big he really is.
Massive.
Like he's a massive. Like, and they don't realize it because he's in a suit. But like when he stood up at the game, that was a puffy sweater he was in.
Yeah,
and that sweater looked small.
It looked like a fitted sweater,
right? Like a compression sweater. Yeah. And I'm like, people don't realize this man like works out like 3-4 hours a day still.
It's like, yo, Nike making compression fluffies now? Like, what's going on?
When you got it,
right.
when you're going to the gym in the morning and then heading straight to the studio.
Yeah.
Well, as we're on the football player topic,
Ooh.
we should do our NFL draft. Not who's going to go top 10, because we kind of have an idea, but I thought about this. Who should the teams actually take? So this is a preview, and we're going to see next week. Obviously, we know who's going to go probably the top 5. It's probably a quarterback in all 5 picks. But who should the top 10 teams take? And I think this is interesting because all the teams have different needs, in different places. I mean, you look at a team like the Eagles, who pretty much returned most of their guys. It's like they got a perfect pick right there, right? So we're gonna go through one. We'll just go around the horn. I'll say Carolina, Houston, those type of thing, and we'll all just say a position, and we can talk a little bit about it. Then we'll move on. All right. So Trey, who do you think Carolina should take? Obviously, besides the normal, but who should they take?
Who should they take? I actually don't think they should take a quarterback because I don't think that team is ready built at all. I think whoever goes out there is basically about to become a sacrifice. So I kind of feel bad for whoever goes out there for them. If I were them, I would probably go, and I know they're not going to do it, but I would probably go with something like Will Anderson. It's safe. You know it's going to be good. You're going to get 10 years out of it. That's what I would do, and then build that defense up, and then plug a quarterback in later. Because right now, I mean, they're throwing to Adam Thielen. No offense to him, he's seen his better days. You just took the best running back, Chris McCaffrey. You took DJ Moore off the roster. You don't have offensive line, so whoever's back there is running for their life. Yeah,
I have that down on mine. I have defensive end / linebacker, which pretty much Will Anderson will probably eventually be one of those. What they call athlete. They don't even call them a position anymore. It's like they call them athletes. Like Hassan Reddick is ATH on the Eagles. So ultimately, that's what I have too. A defensive end and linebacker, and then potentially, I think they need a pulling guard, especially if they have a quarterback that's a little bit more mobile and a good running game. So I have defensive end and linebacker like you do, Trey. Mike, what do you have?
So I think that would be smart. But I have them not needing, but I think they should take Anthony Richardson.
Yes, sir. I'm right there with you.
Because their experiments with quarterback did not work out last year. I think this Carolina team is going to be good enough. They're not going to be in a position to get one of the top quarterbacks next year, which means they got to probably get their guy now, and I think their guy's Richardson.
So
he's the most like Cam.
I like
That's what it is, man.
I like it too, but I just don't want to see it
reincarnating the spirit of Cam Newton in Carolina.
Cam Newton.
Nobody will bring that energy like he possibly can in terms of the remnants of the type of player he is. It's almost like a clone, except he doesn't have that championship caliber swag that he's bringing into the franchise. So you're missing a lot because you want to have that swag when somebody comes in as a rookie, you're asking the lead. But come on, man, let's reincarnate. I want to see it. It's twice just as nice in Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think a quarterback is a necessity right now for them because ultimately they don't have a team around them, right? Like Trey mentioned, they don't have a good receiving core. They don't have a good running game. They gave up their running game last year. But if they had DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey,
Mike made the best point. They're not trading to get anybody. There's not going to be a significant player coming out next year that's going to be a franchise game changer.
You don't think the Heisman Trophy winner is a possibility?
Hold on, we'll get to him.
No, I'm talking about the Heisman Trophy winner is Caleb Williams. He'll be there next year.
I know. I'm saying personally, I'll get to him.
I think Carolina will be that high next year still. I think they'll still be in play with the way this roster's set up.
Right. Like there's candidates out there for next year.
They'll still be. I like Richardson.
And Carolina's not going to do any better than they did this year. So
they're not in a great division though.
Yeah.
But regardless, that division is going to have 4 wins make the playoff next year. So it's like,
that could be Carolina.
Right,
if that happens, that could be Carolina.
But even if they make it at 4 wins and lose in the first round, they still get a top pick, don't they?
No.
Okay.
Oh, really?
We got 9 more picks, guys. Let's go.
Okay.
Once you make the play,
Houston. Okay.
Once you make the
Houston. All right, let's go to Houston. we'll talk next week, Mike, about that.
Yeah.
Houston, Jamie, go.
CJ Stroud. He's a playmaker. They need a playmaker. His ability to extend the play is going to be much needed. He's not going to have too many people to reliably get the ball to when he's looking for his first and second option. So I think Stroud is definitely the best fit right now until they can surround him with more weapons.
Trey?
Oh, he's gone.
See ya. He didn't like it. Mike, what's your pick?
Well, being that I don't have him going with Carolina, I'd say it's Will Anderson because I think the entire plan is going to be tank for Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably going to be what they go with. I think that's what might be the best idea because this Houston team, I think, will be in play given their division, given the way their roster is currently constructed. I think they will be in play for Caleb Williams. And so bolster the defense now, get your guy next year.
Yep.
I'm saying neither. I'm saying go offensive lineman or receiver. I don't have specific players that I picked. I picked all positions and went through the positions. I said offensive lineman. They need a tackle for a blind side because I agree with you, Mike. They're going to be in play next year probably for Caleb Williams. So having someone protect his blind side. We saw what what happened when USC didn't have that and he got hurt. So having someone to protect his blind side, that's really a factor. So when Trey gets back, we'll ask him. But moving on to Arizona, I think this is a very, very big, who the hell? They need everything, right? So
they need everything.
Right. So, Jamie, who do you think they should go for?
They need everything, but they need to be able to at least have a playmaker on defense that doesn't put them in a position. Well, put it this way. Arizona was down by 2 touchdowns or 2 scores more than any other team last year early on in a lot of game scenarios. So they need to be able to hang around and not have such an obvious game plan scenario. We need to move the ball down the field desperately to stay in this game. So they definitely need the best defensive player in the draft. That's Will Anderson Jr.
I'm going to go with a receiver because if they're going to go with Kyler as their quarterback, they need a threat. They need someone to throw to, and they need one of the top picks. Now, I don't usually like going that high with a receiver, but they need someone. And if DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be there, Robbie Anderson's now gone, they need someone. They can't just go to Zach Ertz every time. You know what I mean? So I'm saying receiver and secondary, a defensive line. Mike?
So I think that's a good choice. I don't think there's a receiver that's worth the top 3. But in that second, third round range, or if you want to trade back up into the late first round, I think there's a lot of good receivers within that range, whether they be Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, Jalen Hyatt, Tillman. I think they can get somebody later. I agree with Jamie in the sense that they need a defensive playmaker to try to anchor that defense. I already had Will Anderson going to Houston, so the logical choice here is Jalen Carter out of Georgia. He's the next best defensive player on the board for me, and so I think I would say at that point, if Anderson's there, take Anderson over Carter. But absent of that, take Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I see that too. I mean that's a good pick. I mean, Jalen Carter's a strong defense, and he's a threat on the defensive line. So Trey, who do you have for Arizona? And I think you locked out after Houston. So if you want to get Houston real quick,
my computer.
All good.
Doing what it wants to do. For Houston, hold on a second. I pull up my draft board real quick. See, Houston's in that same position. See, honestly, I feel like I don't know, with Houston, it's kind of the same thing where I would say Will Anderson if he was sitting there in that position.
That's what I had.
So since I guess I technically picked him already off my board, if he's there, I would take him. If he's not there, that's probably why I would consider taking Carter if he's not there. Okay. That's why I would actually go Carter.
Because we were saying next year the plan probably Caleb Williams.
Okay, you were going for that.
That's what I was saying. Houston will be in that range to get Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they make Carolina. It's funny enough. So I think it might be a fight for that. I don't see either one of those teams going that far.
Yeah, same.
So what about Arizona?
What about Arizona? It can be a position player, or it can be. You can just say position, or you can say player.
Well, Arizona, I probably would look at. I would go O-line just because at a certain point, you pay whatever you think of Kyler Murray, you paid this money for Kyler Murray.
Exactly.
You need to protect him back there. At a certain point, you got to do it. You already traded for Brown last year. I'm not a big Marquise Brown fan personally, but you've just invested that, and then you invested in Kyler. So I would probably go O-line.
Yeah.
And really any O-line because he's running for his life back there.
Little guy running. Where'd he go?
Yeah. All right. We're like.
No, you're looking too far up. You got to put that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Aw. Hi, Kyler.
All right, we got to get through these picks, so let's go quicker.
Yeah.
Let's do the rapid fire. We got the Colts.
Mr.
Jamie,
Bryce
go.
Young. Mr. Bryce Young, smartest quarterback.
Yeah.
Right now, he's being assessed as the guy most people want. He'll probably go 1, but boy, if the Colts land him, I think that's the difference the franchise needs is a quarterback that's not over the hill, someone who knows the game so well. He's going to make a difference immediately in the locker room. That's the guy.
Yeah, I have quarter. That's my first quarterback off the. I think they're a quarterback away from being a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
Mike,
agree. I think quarterback there. They already have. Okay. They have Quinn Nelson on the line. They have an established offensive line. They already have a decent defense, so that's where I would actually start taking the quarterback lead with them.
Probably one of the best running backs in the game too. So
you already have it right. So I'm going there.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I got CJ Stroud having to go there. I think between him and Bryce Young, I think he's built better for the Colts system. So I would take Stroud there.
Agreed. Seahawks had a pretty good offensive year last year. I'm going defensive side of the ball. I said either go for an interior lineman that can attack or a secondary in the safety.
They definitely need help in the secondary. That defense is not what it once was.
Nope.
Why not bring in the best player in terms of football pedigree, Trey Day's boy, Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, that's where I would have went. I would have gone for Porter. You get a physical corner, you need it. You already have the offense established. You got the running back last year. You just paid the quarterback. You got DK and Tyler Metcalf. They need something back there just not to get lit up in the second.
He's a Pete Carroll guy. He's gonna hit the quarterback. He's not the fastest guy, but he's probably the smartest guy at his position in the draft.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. That's where I would go.
Yep. I'm gonna take that offensive lineman you mentioned, John. I would go Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. He's a versatile guy. They don't quite know where he's going to translate, whether it's tackle, guard, or center. But they're expecting him to be able to play effectively at all three. I think that helps, especially now that you've invested money for however brief a time it ends up being in Geno Smith. Protect Geno Smith now that you have that money invested. Get the best offensive lineman on the board.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's pretty solid. This number 6 pick was tough because I think Jared Goff made this very difficult last year.
He did too. He absolutely did.
What do you guys have for Detroit, Trey?
Like you said, Goff made it rough. So, originally when the season ended, I was going to say defense, but they actually went and upgraded DBs.
Right.
I would have originally went for them. So if somehow Carter's still there, I'm going D-line. If he's not there, then I guess at that point, to me, you protect Goff more. So I would go O-line and protect him more if you don't have Carter there because they already showed up the defense. They got Gardner Johnson, and they went and got Cam out from the Steelers at corner. So they already went and upgraded DBs, which was the biggest need. Underrated. They had a top 5 offense last year, and you're adding in Jameson Williams. So they really don't even need a receiver this year.
Yeah, I had offensive line to protect Goff, and I feel like next year they can go and get themselves a quarterback if Goff really does tank. So I'm going to say offensive line. Jay?
Secondary. They didn't have a problem scoring the ball last year, and Goff was not sacked that much either, to be honest. They had the 3-headed running attack, and so it was running back in the committee. He had
but he's not there anymore.
4 legit options to throw the ball to as well. So I'm going to go secondary and take Gonzalez, the kid from Oregon. He might be the best athlete in the draft as well. 4.3 low, 42-inch vert. Kid's a freak athlete.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty big.
They just need not to have that much pressure on Goff to have to keep scoring all game long on their offense. You know what I mean? So if they can at least salvage not putting or holding teams to 7 less a game, That's the difference in them flirting with 500 and being 12-5.
Correct. So we have Oakland coming up. Mike, did you make your pick? I'm sorry.
I did not. It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay.
Make your Oakland pick too.
Okay. I'll just transition right now. So for Detroit at 6, I agree with you, Trey. I'm going to go with defensive line. The fact that I have Anderson and Carter both off the board earlier means that right here I got Detroit going with Tyree Wilson as the next best choice for them. Put him on the other side of the line with Hutchinson, takes a little pressure off Hutchinson. They can have a two-headed attack to like trap quarterbacks. I think that's perfect for their defense and is a good complement to an already building defense. So I got Wilson. For Vegas at 7, here's where I have another quarterback coming off the board in Bryce Young. I think that it's a situation where Vegas needs more. Obviously, they need to keep building, but Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to hang on forever. So bringing in Young to be able to sit under Garoppolo for a year or two, I think might be their best option at this point, being that I have some of the better. If it's this is all magic beans with draft picks, but with the fact that I have Anderson, Carter, Skoronski, and Wilson already off the board, which could all help them. Yeah, I'm going to take Young.
I'm taking your boy Wilson. They have too many good quarterbacks in that conference. They need possibly who's the best edge rusher in the draft. That's because if you're not putting pressure on those other 3 quarterbacks in those 6 games you're going to play in your division, you might not even win one of them. So,
right. I hear you.
So this is where I have Anthony Richardson going, is because eventually at week 1 or 2, Jimmy Garoppolo will end up getting hurt and not be the starting quarterback anymore. So you need a guy who can come into an offense and immediately be ready to play. It's either him or CJ Stroud. That's who I had there at that position. Trey?
If Stroud slips there, I would go there. But if he does not, I would actually go a different Ohio State route. I would actually go Paris Johnson.
There you go.
Offensive tackle.
Did not.
That's smart.
Yeah, I would take the tackle, actually. And Paris Johnson actually could possibly play guard, too, just based on the way he's built. He could play either way, so that's where I would go.
Yeah. Going to the Falcons. They on their picks, and here's one thing that I've noticed on their, like, what they need is not a quarterback. That's what they said. They're going with Desmond Ridder. They like him, and they like his style. So who would you go with, Mike?
I don't give a damn what they said. This is where I go Anthony Richardson.
Right.
What they said. This is I want Richardson. For the reasons y'all said, Cam, I want this to be the bigger version of a Vic type, actually, to show.
Okay.
That's where I would actually want him to go. It's actually there. You could actually have him and Ridder battle it out. He's going to probably beat him in the long run, but that's actually where I would go there. If you want to, you can still take Ridder and flip him, but I would actually send him to Atlanta. Also, like the fact he gets to play in the South, he gets to play in that dome, so he gets to use all his athleticism. He also plays the Saints. He's playing in these domes in the South where he can use all his athleticism. That's why I want Richardson.
A Florida quarterback in Georgia.
Yes. Florida quarterback.
It don't sound right? It just don't.
This doesn't feel right to me. I agree. I don't give a damn what they said because I don't know. Ever since the draft order got set at the end of the season, it just feels like Will Levis is meant to go to Atlanta. So I
don't think he's a
Southern. Whether he is or is not, it just feels like it's. I don't think he should go this high either. It just feels like that's what's going to happen. And not in a kind of a different direction in the South, but a Southern quarterback staying down South playing in Atlanta. So yeah, I got Will Levis.
I have a blocking tight end because their tight end Patterson now is not a blocking tight end. Their tight end is not a blocking tight end, so they need that. If they're going to have a quarterback like Ridder who moves around.
Mr. Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry. I forgot Patterson's the running back.
No, Pitts never a receiver for real.
But he came out of the draft as a tight end. He's still their tight end, but he plays like the guy from Jaguars, Galloway, I think is. Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram.
Former.
Peterson puts him out in the flats all the time, so it's like. They need someone to help block that and let Pitts go be a receiver like he is, a slot receiver. So I'm saying tight end right there.
Okay.
Jay?
The best fit is Nolan Smith. Keep him in state. He's probably one of the smartest football players, period, on the board, and he's a champion. So you're bringing in this championship mentality that you probably need because the division's so wide open. You need some of that on your roster to bolster the opportunity for you to at least clinch the division and win it.
Correct.
But they really need a reliable, like Drake London's okay, but I think they need somebody who's really going to come in there immediately, who's NFL ready. And I thought London was that guy, and he's not. I'd move London to my 2. And I'd automatically make Quentin Johnson my normal. That kid played his ass off this year in the college playoffs. He's big. He has huge hands. I love the kid's game. I love his confidence. I think he'd be a good fit there because Pitts is probably not going to stay healthy. He has the injury bug. It might hit him again. You got 2 big options now. Who's one almost as big as a tight end in London.
Right.
Go with the other big receiver. Because that you're not going to need to score that many points to win. You're just going to need to be able to keep the defenses off the field pretty much, right? And just keep the ball moving.
T.O.P.
Yeah, it's going to be the weakest division in football again next year. So I like him there for the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we go to the Bears, and I'm saying offensive lineman here. You need to protect Justin Fields, or he will be like Robert Griffin III calling Michigan games up in the booth.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trey.
No, I want it. I want my guy protected. So.
Oh yeah, no, but I meant about the Michigan part.
Oh man,
because Robert Griffin's been very weird calling those games. It was very odd and very uncomfortable watching Robert Griffin call college football games. Oh, that guy's so luscious. Look at his lusciousness. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
Robert, shut up. Robert, shut up.
Trey, who you got?
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, I'm all for take the best line on the board because they have Fields out here, running for his life. I would, and the only other one I would have considered, but I'm probably going to lean offensive line, is I would have considered Smith and Jiggle from Ohio State receiver.
The receiver, yeah. They need someone there. They needed like all those positions, but I think either of those. Jay?
I like the kid out of Georgia, Broderick Jones. 6'5". The kid's ginormous.
Tight end, right? I know. Tackle. That's right.
Yeah, he doesn't have first-round talent. So in all likelihood, they're probably going to take, at that point, if he's on the board, Jalen Carter, because they need a splash player on either line. But I agree with you guys. Like, you got to do something to get to at least give your quarterback a chance to feel like he doesn't have to run for his life almost on every series of the damn game. So have somebody in there that's going to have his back.
Mike?
I see it. I think they'll address that in the next round.
Mm-hmm.
Here I have them the best choice being Joey Porter Jr. to jumpstart that defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a versatile defensive player. I still have him on the board. I know amongst our picks, some of us don't have him on the board. I still have him on the board, and I think he's such an athletic talent that can play in multiple spots on that defense. I think he jumpstarts that defense for him.
Mm-hmm.
And now we go to my lovely Birds.
I haven't taken a kicker. I haven't taken a punter.
There you go.
We did lose our punter halfway. That was the only position. Ironically, that was the only position we did lose in week 8. We lost our punter.
I haven't taken a.
No, I remember that was a true concern on our depth chart. Like, there was a lot of Eagles stats that were just like, who the hell is going to be our punter? Like, we had Jake Elliott doing both at one point, but
I got an idea, guys. What if we just make sure we don't need one?
So I have for my trusted Eagles. Either go grab yourself a top center because Jason Kelce is not going to be with the team next year, and I've been back and forth behind it, but I would grab Bijan. I think he's a good talent. I think he's a generational talent. I think he can really help Jalen not take the abuse that Rashad Penny and all the other guys are not. Like Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell are receiving backs. Bijan's a power back, and he can be a receiving back. So I'm saying Bijan Robinson. Trey?
Okay, so you talked about this in a separate thing. I wouldn't go Bijan. The reason I wouldn't, if I were the Eagles, this is completely separate from draft, I would actually call Tennessee and trade for Derrick Henry. You're not going to give him a first-round pick. You can get your power. You get to put him in the backfield with Jalen. So
I switch.
I don't want that.
I switch. I'm going with Trey's answer.
No.
I would go that route because he's going to be on the block. Tennessee.
That is interesting.
He can be a giant.
Could you imagine during the draft night while we're calling it that they do that like they did AJ Brown?
Sorry,
Trey, I didn't mean to cut you off.
AJ Brown was last year, right?
Yeah, no.
I would get aggressive and do that, but you're not even going to take a first to do that. So what I probably would go draft is Branch from Alabama. You can feel he can play corner or safety.
Yeah.
Ross Gardner-Johnson and Slay and them are getting older, so now you can feel one or two of those holes.
I hear you.
I had that down to a corner too. But Jay,
Well, they're definitely called draft tampering at that point to think, why is Tennessee bolstering their roster that much once again and giving up their next best offensive player year after year? You know what? I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball in here. Can you imagine the Eagles with another speedster receiver on the team in the form of Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee? Could you imagine having more speed on that roster where literally
I love this
and just be like, hey, one of you guys go get it, and somebody's going to go get it. They would be unbelievably exciting where the defense wouldn't even need to bolster up that much and improve. So I'm taking Jalen Hyatt and throwing a wrench in everybody's wheel saying, guess what? I dare you guys to stop us now. Who are you going to choose? Who are you going to choose? Because guess what? If you do go ahead and decide to say, hey, I'm going to stop your receivers, then your quarterback's going to now rush for the most rushing yards ever in NFL history in a season because the field's going to be freaking wide open on every other play. So it's choose your poison. I think I would hate it because I think they'd probably lose one game in the regular season because they'd sit out everybody in game 17. But at least we know one of our guys that would love it on the panel. So
punter.
Could you imagine that, though? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine the three of them lining
Jay. Yes, I can imagine it. All right. I don't want to, but I can.
Because the Giants don't have one receiver.
Why do
the
you
Eagles have four.
Hate me? God, I don't know who I'd choose, Jay. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. We lost Julian Love. I don't know.
All right. Who did you choose?
In all honesty, it kind of my pick kind of went back and forth. I had initially I had Lucas Van Ness, the DN from Iowa.
Yeah, I liked him. Yeah.
But based on our conversations, your and I's conversations earlier in the week of what you were saying the Eagles most likely need and kind of breaking down the roster, I have them taking Paris Johnson. Because that's that offensive lineman that can sit behind Kelsey and Lane Johnson. Look at that. You just get a Johnson replacing a Johnson.
Right.
Can sit behind them, doesn't have to have as much pressure to immediately be good out of the gate. Broderick Jones would be another choice. I had forgotten about him from Georgia, but I would still slight edge to Paris Johnson out of the Ohio State University. I knew Trey would point. But yeah, I think getting that, you're in such a good position that if you're not going to trade 10 for some dumb Derrick Henry move that's going to make me sad, then I think bolstering the O-line for the future here would probably be the best pick.
But listen, there's a lot of time. You're probably going to get the other kid from Tennessee, Cedric Tillman, because they've been talking about him going to the Giants a lot. And that's not.
I really don't know. I feel like there's a trade coming, but I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out next week as Cinco Squad is going remote and going to be live at Maloney's local Irish pub in the Carrollwood location.
You guys know we're going to switch up our whole top 10 come this time next week.
Well, no, I mean this top 10, and just so everyone knows, this is a top 10 that we think the team should. No, if we were in the position, this is who they should take because we don't think 5 quarterbacks should go 1 through 5. But fellas, I think it's time for Stomp the Squad. If you tuned in,
boy,
Grandpa Jason is take it away.
Thank you for tuning into our draft preview of what teams should do. But you know this is the most exciting part of the show. And we got Mr. Trade Day, Mr. Cinco, in the building with us tonight. So it's going to be a special Stump the Squad. Here's how it happens. We cheat because we look up the answers but get it wrong. So you guys don't feel about knowing as much as us. But that's just how we do to make you guys feel good about yourselves. So 2 points for correct answer, -2 for wrong answer. Whoever has the most points at the end of Stump the Squad gets the round of the week. I'm feeling Mikey's question right now, so enlighten me, Mr. Mike.
Okay. I can enlighten you with my question. You would expect that I would bring you an NHL playoff question once again.
But it's NBA.
But it's NBA.
Can
bring
I
you an
say
NBA player.
one thing?
What?
The Kraken are up 2-0 in the first.
Let's
against
go
the Avalanche.
Seattle. Let's go Seattle. That's awesome. Oh, can I say one thing?
The Rangers are beating the Devils.
The Rangers are beating the Devils 5-1 right now. So
game set.
All right.
And we go back to the Garden. Anyway, so I do bring you an NBA playoffs question, gentlemen. And that NBA playoffs question is, how many times has an 8 seed gone on to win the NBA Finals? Again, how many times has the 8 seed
I'll go last.
Gone on to win the NBA Finals?
Trey definitely knows this.
0, 1, 2, or 3?
0. Good on Pache.
John says 0.
0. The Knicks made it in 99. They beat the Heat in the first round. They were a 1 seed. They played the Spurs. That was a shortened season. And that was the Spurs' first ring. That was Pop's first ring with that whole goon squad. And so the Knicks were the closest to doing it. So 0.
0, because of what Jamie said. The Knicks were as close as they got, and it was a shortened season, so they probably weren't really the worst team because they were sitting there with Sprewell, Houston, all those guys. So they probably weren't truly an 8, but the short season put them in the 8 seed.
Yep.
So 0.
Mike looks disappointed. We're all right. Moving on.
I tried. Yeah, it was 0. The Knicks are the only 8 seed to ever make the finals. In fact, no 7 seed has won either.
Oh wow. Okay, who you want next?
Trey can go.
Okay, so with
I'm
the
gonna go
NFL draft coming up,
Okay.
we will do this in pertainment to the NFL draft. So the first NFL draft was in 1936.
Here we
Anybody remember? Grandpa Jay, do you remember that draft?
Of course I remember that day.
Of course you remember that. Good.
He was with his girl, Sister Jean.
So you'll remember this answer. Who was the first ever NFL draft pick? A, Wayne Milliner. B, Bill Shakespeare. C, Jay Berwanger. D, Phil Bryant.
I like the name Bill Wanger.
First ever NFL draft pick.
I'm going to say Phil Bangwanger.
Wow. What a name.
Is that his name? Phil, or did I combine 2 names?
You just combined 2 names. Jay Berwanger and Phil Bryant. You combined.
Which one are you taking, John? A or D?
The Banger Wanger. It's just a funny name.
Trey, who's D? How many D's name? Say properly to this guy.
How many D?
Phil Bryant.
Say it again, sir.
Okay, so A, Wayne Milliner. B, Bill Shakespeare. C, Jay Berwanger. D, Phil Bryant.
Okay, Bill Shakespeare is also that's William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So it would be insane if that was who it was.
Yeah.
Why can William Shakespeare have been an NFL draft pick?
Thou shalt
Hark.
tackle.
Thou-
Anyone who come
that-
up.
Running with a book down the field.
Flip the page, coach. Flip the page.
What light through yonder stadium breaks?
All right, make it
Easily.
Take C. Give me C. Just because they have the most ordinary name.
I'm between A and D. Ointment. Give me A. I'm just gonna go with my gut and go with A.
You're gonna
John,
go
what
A?
letter are you choosing?
I'm
Because
sorry,
you
who
said
got what letter?
4 names.
He's
John,
going
I
with
got it.
Bangwanger.
I go on Bangwanger.
But that's like 3 of them combined. A, B, C, or D.
I don't know which one's. Isn't one named Bangwanger?
That's C.
C. Okay.
Okay, so Jay, you're going C. John, you're going C. Mike, you're going A.
A. He stumped
Somebody got
squat.
stuck here. But somebody was smart. So,
Mike.
the only person I was able to stump was Mike.
It's Bangwanger.
Bangwangers!
Now, the funny part is, y'all thought William Shakespeare was made up. Bill Shakespeare was actually the number 3 pick in the draft.
Wow.
He was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates of the NFL.
Nice.
Wayne Milliner, the first pick, is actually a real person also. He was the 61st, 65th pick to the Boston Redskins. And last, I flipped the name. It wasn't Phil Bryant, but it was a guy named Paul Bryant, if you remember that name.
Paul
He was the 31st
Bunyan
pick, a.k.a. Bear Bryant, was the 31st
Oh, Bear
pick
Bunyan Bryant.
to the then Brooklyn Dodgers of the NFL.
Wow.
No wonder we don't
Baseball
know these
team.
guys. They were picked by baseball teams.
Yeah.
Yes, they were baseball teams already in the NFL at that time.
All right, who's next, Trey?
Am I out already?
No, you got -2.
No, you're not out. I'm gonna go with Jay.
All right. You guys know I'm going straight back to the hardwood. So the Milwaukee Bucks tied the all-time record in the playoffs for three-pointers in a single game. 25 threes. Which team did they tie? Was it the 2018 Warriors, the 2016 Rockets, the 2016 Golden State Warriors, or the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers?
Oh, I'm
And
so
the Milwaukee
between-
Bucks hit 25 threes in
Okay.
game to tie.
So the
Single
obvious
game
answer would be one of the Warrior teams. I'm gonna go with the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm between the Rockets because they were in that 2018 season. They were chucking.
2016. That's when they were supposed to beat Golden State. They were up 3-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Houston.
I feel like it's one of those games where Harden did hit the 23s or something.
It was close, and then they had what's his face? I forget it. Well, I mean, he
Eric
was
Gordon. That
Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I
Houston.
want to say
It's the Cavs. You're not stopping me here. The Cavs did it. It's
Gentlemen.
the Cavs. The Rockets had the record for most threes missed in a playoff game though. In a row.
That's what
Well,
it
hard.
was.
The Rockets.
Well, That's what it is.
I have successfully stumped the non-Cleveland Cavalier fan or the non-Cleveland guy. So,
Yeah.
sorry. I've successfully stumped John and Mike. The Cleveland guy
Now
got
I'm
the answer
out.
right. It's the Cavs.
Now you're out. So now it's up to. So the score right now is Jay at 4, me at 2, Mike at -4. He's done. Trey's at 4. So
I
it'll
love
come.
when Trey just shows up and wins.
Let's go.
Well, you asked some easy
That's
What
questions.
you talking about, bro? What you talking about? Give me 3 in a row. Come on.
All right. So here's a hockey question since I'm going to ask one.
Yay!
What player holds the record? I think Mike might get this, but what
No,
player?
get one.
That was the hard part. It's like when I find a question, like I'm looking at NBA, and I'm like, what one will Jamie and Trey get? Which one will Mike get? I know Trey's gonna get this one.
Of course.
Hockey's his favorite sport. What player holds the record for the most career goals in a Stanley Cup final? Is it Gretzky? Is it Jean Beliveau?
Beliveau.
Beliveau? Gordie Howe? Or Maurice Richards?
Richard.
Richard.
That's actually, this might not be one I know.
Wow.
I'm gonna go.
I'm going Maurice.
It is Rocket
All right.
Richard. The goals trophy
I'm
is
going
named.
Maurice.
Beliveau? Howe?
I'm gonna go Beliveau.
Or the great one of all time?
You know, we had a question the other day, and we all should have gone with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he was the obvious, and I didn't. So I'm going with Captain Obvious here. Give me the great one.
Okay, Jamie, Mike, and Trey have all made their selections.
Yeah.
Someone won.
And someone, he always says that.
Well, I can see you. I know what it looks like when you go to type something.
I know.
Because I
so the week 55 champion is, and my computer froze.
Hold on, I can go look. I'm out, so
Hold on.
I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna read.
I got it.
Oh, I can't see it anyway. So
I know I deleted it because my computer froze. Trey is week 55 champion. It's
Trey
Maurice
just shows up
Richards.
and wins.
And he leads in the most overtime game of most goals in overtime with 3
Nice.
Nice.
in the Stanley Cup final. So Trey, hold on, I gotta get your rant of the week up. So Trey is
so too obvious. So I went with the person I didn't know.
so Trey. What is your? You are the 55 champion. You'll get your ring now.
Special week.
He'll get your ring now.
Trey's rant of the week. Go for it, brother.
Go for it, man.
So, a lot of NBA talk this week. I've been putting back my Trey on the Block videos. So, I had a feeling I was winning today, so I saved this rant just for this. I had a feeling I was going to need to take this one to the block. But one of my things is I get into a lot of these debates, especially with older guys, about how the NBA was so much better in the 90s and whatnot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the 90s didn't ball, but the NBA right now has more parity and skill probably than any point in NBA history. I mean, it's overall. Because basically, sometimes you'll look at the 90s and you'll throw, and I mean no shade to like 80s enforcers, but a lot of these guys couldn't even dribble a basketball. They're basically playing football out here, and they're knocking dudes over, and that's cool. But my point is, you put these guys out here, Steph Curry is putting some of these guys in a cycle. You got a guy like Jokic at 7 foot bringing the ball up, dribbling, passing. So I'm watching Sabonis. I'm watching this every night, Anthony Davis. I'm watching skill 1 through 5, people that can all dribble, distribute, play defense, switch off, these sort of things. You had a lot of steps. For every Michael Jordan that was great, every Pippen, you're sitting there with Luke Longley, who's basically sitting here in concrete. So I would say there's more skill in the NBA now than ever. Other thing, too, and back in the day, there was a lot more ISO ball. In ISO ball, it's a little easier to leave that stiff guy chilling because now you got Michael Jordan guard the best player, and that's it. That ain't going to happen now. We're going to put you on the screen. We're going to get Michael Jordan off you. Now we're going to make this big dude get out here and ball, or he's going to get off the court. One of these two things going to happen. And that's why I would say it's more skill to me now than it ever has been in the NBA. I'm not going to say it's the best NBA, but I'm going to say it's more skill in the NBA than it's ever been.
Well, I feel like everyone's and that's a good rant. I mean, because ultimately I agree with you. Like, there's a lot more talent. You got a lot more threats when it comes to the NBA now. And I think we've brought this up, fellas, a bunch of times on the show.
100%.
Is that, it's very difficult because you can't just leave a man wide open. I was seeing that the other night. They were leaving, like, Jokic wide open. I'm like, why? He can shoot. Like, I don't understand, like, some of that mentality. But, like, I agree with you. It's nice to see that there's a lot more skill. Guys are faster, stronger, can jump higher, can move the ball better. And you see it in the college ranks too, right? So you see the guys getting better and better and better, where you see these MAC schools. Are we surprised that, a non-Power 5 is making it to the Elite 8 and Sweet 16? Those type of things. The Owls of FAU.
They fly on.
Hey, you just wait until, unfortunately, and I hate to mess with Detroit fans, but they're probably going to get the one pick. Hopefully they don't, for his sake. But Wembanyama is going to take the league by storm, and I hope it's not in Detroit because Detroit's kind of lost in translation right now. Even though they thought they had something going good, like nobody really pays attention to Detroit basketball. So I hope for his sake somebody else ends up getting that one pick and he gets a little more of the glory. Well, I shouldn't say to the glory, but he gets some more face time, put it that way, in his rookie season. He's going to be sensational.
I don't think he's going to be a Piston.
Well,
I think he's going to be a Spur.
Ooh.
Well, we'll have that conversation more towards the end of June, where we may be on the road again. We'll stay tuned. So, any final thoughts onto this wonderful weekend of the playoffs?
Yeah, they just suspended James Harden for hitting. Who is it? Hit. James Harden just got suspended ejected for striking O'Neal in the groin. And we're talking about this. I guess they're just trying to protect everybody now, and any little thing classifies as an ejection, which could be a possible suspension. I didn't see the play. I don't know how obvious it is. I think some players are really better actors now than ever before. Pick up the main man, Vlade Divac, who is the best of all time, but sometimes you kind of know that they're trying to sell everything all the time, and I think the referees need to take that into account, and those players need to be suspended if you look at video evidence to prove that they're really trying to oversell something.
Understand? Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think guys are flopping a lot more, and one thing I don't like in the NBA playoffs is replay on fouls. I don't like that factor. Never have. I don't like that. I mean, I didn't like when they did it for pass interference in the NFL. So that should be eliminated from the playoffs. If you want to do it during the regular season, fine, but during the playoffs, you shouldn't be able to foul replay. So. Any final thoughts, Trey or Mike, before we head out into
Trey? I'll let you.
I mean, it's been good games. I just want more good playoffs. I mean, we got NHL playoffs, we got NBA playoffs, so hopefully we just keep getting good games. And it's a lot going on this weekend in sports, so it'd be a lot to talk about next week. Yeah. There's a lot going on. Looking forward to this weekend.
100%. Well, go Rangers, right?
Yep, go Rangers. 5-1, 2-0 series lead. Let's go.
like I mentioned in the beginning, in the middle, make sure you tune in to our draft night special at Maloney's local Irish pub, the Carrollwood location. If you are in Tampa, come on down. They got great beer, great burgers, and great wings. So come on down. We're going to be there from 7:30 to the end of the draft. Let's have a great time, and come on down and say hi to us and maybe get a guest appearance on the show. So we'll see you guys next week for our draft night special, 7:30 Eastern at Maloney's local Irish pub. See you next week.